Well, hello everybody. God bless all of you and welcome to the month of April and the first Friday of this month of spring, right? God bless you, and I hope this video finds you well and all that your life is involved in is well as well. April is Easter month. Those that follow the tradition of Lent, you're getting closer to the end. Of course, we celebrate, the crown jewel, right, of Christianity, the resurrection, yeah, of Jesus Christ. And really, along with the road that leads to it. And as we call it, the Passion of the Christ, or Passion Week. And we know that part of that passion encompasses the suffering and death of Jesus Christ, yeah? And it was that narrow road, that leads us to, the lives that we have now. Redeemed, forgiven, loved. And I think it's a kind of an interesting thing where Jesus never really glorified suffering and death, or called it like beautiful or something to be desired. But what we see is after his death, after his burial, after his resurrection, and of course later with the writings, of the apostles is in reality, Jesus is like invites us to look at the reality of our experiences, and in this harsh reality, right, that life dishes out, and we have seasons of it, of suffering and of loss. And thus far 2025 has shaped up to a year of great loss for me and my family and for my church. And but in this harsh reality, it is a way to new life, right? Those of us that have been around for a while, we know that there's something in, discipline, which could a disciplined life, which could seem like suffering, or challenges that brings or creates strength and growth. I believe the core message of Jesus is that real joy and peace, it can never be reached while bypassing suffering and death, but literally going right through it, right? Though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death. Now, you could take this or leave it. In my opinion, yeah, are people, outside of a relationship with Jesus Christ, happy people or have fulfilling lives or something? I don't know. I'm not one of them. Looking in from the outside, possibly. But what I am saying is that real joy, real peace, not just being on a quiet beach with no one on it, that is peaceful, or in the forest with a little creek, bubbling creek, beautiful, peaceful. But we're talking about real joy, real peace. Jesus lived his life, with the trust that God's love is stronger than death, and that death does not have the last word. And we can see that in 1 Corinthians 15. We could see it. And so in this month of Easter, it's not just about the resurrection, because what is so there's a lot that's really glorious about the resurrection. But what's really the best part of the resurrection? That everyone thought, right? The disciples, the enemies of Jesus, they thought it was over. This guy is dead. This guy is not only dead, he's dead and buried. Right? And that's it. It's final. And we feel the same way when our loved ones pass away, that, that's it. It's over. It's a done deal. And yeah, it might be for us, and people live in our hearts and memories, but for the other, according to our biblical doctrine, they live on. And so death doesn't have the last word. Suffering isn't the end all. And though our loved ones may be sick and dying in a hospital, it's not the end. The victory is ours. And so even with troubles or problems or issues, because Jesus invites us to face the painful reality of our existence with the same trust. And just as Jesus did and said, death, where's thy sting, O grave? Where's thy victory? In Romans chapter 5, it says, "But God commendeth his love towards us, in that while we were yet sinners, Christ died for us." So even us is in the most miserable state and separate from him, his love, it was so great, right, that he died for us. And isn't that part of the message of Easter? That he died on the cross. Well, we just didn't want anything to do with him. Suffered and died. And look what has come from it. You and me saved. Some of us had the privilege of being church kids. I didn't. I lived in the world till my 20s, my early 20s, mid 20s, and was delivered and saved by the grace of God. So beloved, be encouraged. Be encouraged. If you feel overwhelmed, anxious, sad, just remember the suffering is, in a sense, a vehicle to eventually get us to the real joy and real peace. God bless you.